about to throw these cards at both of y'all. I cannot believe what you're telling me. So let me ask you this, and Rudolph, I want you to start, and then Trevor, you pick it up.
Yes, sir.
What does war do to the soul? What does it do to the mind?
It truly damages you, like your aspect of the world and your aspect of trust in people and just being around people. Because a lot of veterans, after being in war, they don't want to be around people. A lot of them, they go into this dark space, and they, you know, you go home and you don't even want the lights on because the lights give you headaches, and just don't even want to watch TV or what's on TV because TV makes you upset, aggravates you. You get agitated about certain things. You know, it's seriously a problem when you are someone who wants to do good for the world, but you're being challenged to do so. You know, at the same time.
You can't get out of yourself.
You can't get out of yourself. No, you can't.
So what does war do to the spirit?
I mean, for me, it turned me numb. It made me not want to believe anything. It made me feel like nothing was real. I felt like, oh, we're expendable. Everything's expendable. This person is alive now he's not tomorrow. So I never was able to really I still today have a hard time just not so much trusting people, but just building a relationship or a bond with them, because I always have this hidden feeling of like, they might not be here tomorrow. So it's just kind of like a sense of, it just numbs you. It just numbs you. It just makes you question everything, and it just numbs you. And just coming back, they don't give you time to decompress. So you're just back right into a workspace, and you might be doing maintenance on some equipment, and you're not sleeping at night because the nightmares just don't stop, and then you're just sitting there.
So you go from the extraordinary to the mundane.
Yes.
Without anything in the middle of the process.
Yeah, you might be out there. For me, there's certain things I cannot say. I worked with certain people I can't, you know. But there was
I've heard about you.
Yeah. So there was a situation.
Can I say it if you can't?
I really don't know. That's on you. But I think that might still be exposing.
SEAL Team 6.
I worked with, we'll just call him Team X.
And, 6. SEAL Team 6. Not X.
And my main job was intel. I would collect and disseminate information, and we can figure out where you're at, who you're with, what you're doing, what your intentions are, and then within maybe a 50-foot radius of where you're at, within a 300-mile line of bearing where you can find you. So with me, we would find certain information. Half the time, it's a need-to-know basis. You really don't know what you're collecting. You might get a pat on the shoulder saying, "Good job, shipmate, go take a smoke break." And a smoke break is the only break you get, so smoking was a big part of my life where I had to, it took me a while to quit.
Could you excuse me 1 second?
Yeah.
Don't this sound like prison? I mean, maybe it's me, but this, what the hell?
It's grueling on the spirit.
I just know that there was a point where I'm gonna deviate for 1 second. There's something called underway replenishment, right? Yeah. And every so many weeks, when you're not in terroristic waters, if you are, you're just screwed. You just won't have any toilet paper for weeks, nothing. You just got to improvise. But like the times that we did get underway reps, we would get food, mail, that type of stuff. There was a time where we were asked to, we have 2 freezers under the galley to store all our food. There was a time we were asked to move everything to the other freezer. We're sitting here excited, like, oh, great, we finna get an underway replenishment. We about to get some new food. Clothes, the ship stores finna get restocked, you know. But no, it was bodies. Next thing you know, we're putting bodies probably stacked about 4 high and by 3 across.
I worked in the galley, so this.
They were in there for about a week, and you just can't eat, man. You can't eat, you can't sleep, and then next thing you know, you're finding out weeks later on CNN, the guy's face that's in the freezer is on the computer screen. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, okay.
Well, let me do this, because I want what you're saying. When I said you were going to be our guides and our teachers, I had no idea
so much,
how true that statement was. And what I want to ask you to do is, I'm a firm believer, I say this all the time,
Yeah.
that trauma is a time traveler, right? It happens in one time or one point in your life.
Yes.
And it will rear its ugly head in another season.
Yeah.
So after you had come through, you know, the experience of being in the military, Rudolph, how did the trauma appear? How did it rear its ugly head in your life?
For me, I believe it reared its ugly head with the anger problems. After I got out, I had several anger problems, so to speak. I never really looked at it as an anger problem, and until I, started getting this information from people that claimed to love me or claimed to care about me, and they just used to say, "You're lashing out. Why are you lashing out? Why are you being so defensive? What is your problem?" And me, I'm thinking that I'm not really lashing out, and so it, like you said, it went from this moment in time to rear its head later in this moment in time, and so you don't think to go and get help for those things because you think you are normal. You've been in a situation where this is normalcy, and so you get out of that normalcy, coming back to civilian life.
Where crazy is normal.
Right, where this is, you're crazy, and we were like a ship full of crazy men, and so when you're coming out of that situation and you're bringing yourself back into a situation where normalcy is taking a picture and loving someone and hugging someone and going out having a good time, conversating, having great conversations, to just lashing out at people for cutting you off, and it wasn't even really that bad. You're driving around and you're having these outbursts, and so for me, I had to learn that the hard way. And I had good jobs, and lashing out on my job sites, and sometimes trying to control that anger just led to more problems, and so I didn't know who to go and talk to or what to do for those reasons. And
So Trevor, explain to me how you were different when you got home than you were before you left. What was different about you?
I found myself, and I'm going to rope this into my brother, because my brother served a lot longer than I have. He was actually 34th Infantry Red Bulls out of Minnesota, so he was boots on ground. And he was over there at the time that Saddam got taken down, so he went through all of that. But I believe it's affected me and him the same way. But I gauge myself based on where he's sitting. It's weird because I noticed that we always crack jokes. We were always funny, goofy. We still are, with our dad. But like, I noticed when we both got back, even 10 years later, it's like we're still closed off. We're still, I'm not as closed off anymore. Over the years, I've kind of, got over things, and I tried to exercise different ways to get over things. But for me, it changed me because it made me look at life a different way, and it made me realize that I didn't have any time to waste. So when I came back, I realized that this was not what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to serve anymore. I didn't want to serve in the military anymore.
But you had to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder, is that right?
Yeah, I'm still dealing with it today. And so for me, it made me realize that time is the only thing that's valuable here. And if you don't appreciate it, and if you take it for granted, it can be taken at any moment.
Before you get to the wisdoms, because we're gonna do. Trust me, we're gonna spend a lot of time on that.
But that's what changed. Yeah.
I got what I want people to understand, because most people don't know what post-traumatic stress disorder is, and they don't know how it manifests, right? So for you, it's anger, right? And for you, it's being closed off.
I had abusive episodes, relationships with women, relationships with friends, authority figures. I got into a lot, just stupid stuff. Always in trouble with the police because I always felt like, oh, what do you know? You have less training than me. I'm more qualified than you. You'll never have more training than me. I'm not going to listen to you. Dude, until you go overseas and serve, get out of here. You're an ant. You're a peon to me. So I've always had trouble dealing with police because I just never respected them because I just felt like I knew more than them. And I was more trained. And so when they treated me like crap or garbage on pullovers and stuff like that, profiling like they normally do, I couldn't take it. And I couldn't control my anger sometimes, and I would land myself in worse situations.
It's amazing that you're sitting here tonight.
It's God, man.
No. It's absolutely God, but I want you to hear me. It is an act of grace that you are sitting here tonight. in this country, and sir, I'm so glad you are. I'm so glad that whatever grace covers your days covered it long enough for you to have disappointment in the date book of your life, because you're helping people tonight. You're helping people understand what most people never get, and that is when this country starts dropping bombs and sending our boys and our girls overseas to war, that this is the cost. This is the cost. We sit on our couches and in our living rooms with our smart TVs and our phones, and we don't feel it.
Yeah.
This country's been at war for 19 years.
I have friends that are going on
For 19 years, and we don't feel it. You are the manifestation of what we're doing, and we honor that tonight. Clap for them. Thank you. So, all right. Sorry about that. I had to.
Oh yeah.
There's a Dr. Sean rant in the middle of the show.
Dr. Sean.
But you had to deal with homelessness.
Yes. Oh man. When I got out, you know, there wasn't the resources that I didn't have knowledge of the resources when I got out, and up until the day of getting out, I was on like limited duty, and so. I didn't get the offer to stay in for the 20 years on that one base because I was on light limited duty because I severed my Achilles and I walked on it for 12 days, and even with the resources on the base and the knowledge or the wherewithal with all the knowledge on this base, they didn't tell me go and have surgery. They said go home and put it on ice, and I was on convalescence leave, so. You know, I didn't have to go back to the base for 12 days. So I'm walking around dragging my foot, and my lady, she's like, why do you keep dragging your foot? What's wrong? So I go to a Japanese doctor, and his first reply was, bikurishita. And I was like, I didn't know Japanese. So I'm like, what does that mean? He was like, you need surgery today. So I had to go to the base, and because you can't just get surgery off base without getting the authorization. So I go on base and see this doctor, and he looks at it and he tells me, so we're just gonna chop your foot off. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I'm jumping up off the table, and he was like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm hopping back out of here because you're not going to chop my foot off.
Right.
I need my feet. You know, I need my feet.
Facts.
Facts. And so I'm like, he's like, well, just give me a moment to check my illustrations and my literature. And I'm thinking like, what? Who are you? Are you a doctor? You know? And so he came back out. He said, I can do the surgery. Be here at 12 o'clock. I prayed for so long from that day until 12 o'clock. I called my mother. I told her to pray for me. And when I got on the table, I saw someone there that knew me from a shipmate that worked with me, and she looked at me and she gave me that look like, you're gonna be okay. And I was like, put me under. And lo and behold, the surgery was good. And I think I was one of the miracles. I was one of the miracles because people came to me and asked me, how did you recover like you did? I didn't fully recover. But
Rudolph, take me back to something you said that I think I want the audience to really hear and focus on.
Okay.
You could not have the surgery on the base?
Right. Off the base. You cannot have the surgery off the base without authorization.
Why didn't you have it on the base?
Why? Because that's the only way you can have. If you're in the military, you got to have it on the base. Unless they pay for it off base, which is much more expensive. So it's less expensive to just chop the foot off. And have you just hobbling and wobbling and, you know, and keep you there if they want to, or kick you out on a medical discharge.
To add to that, my personal opinion is I feel like they keep you in their system medically with their facilities because they can dictate on what's documented. Like for me, I had a top secret clearance, sensitive compartmentalized information. So when I got out with all these disabilities, I was medically discharged for my disabilities. But when you check my file, it's blank. So where's all my information?
I didn't get a medical discharge. I got an honorable discharge, but it wasn't a medical one.
So if you're not knowing that you have these disabilities, and then 5-10 years later, your back's starting to bother, your knee, or your hearing's getting worse.
Which is what happened to you.
Yeah, like I was 21 when I got in. When I got out, I was like 23, 24. You know, so it's like you feel limber, you feel fine. You're just like numb. So at that point, you're just eager to get out and live your life. So you're just like, man, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm free. I can do.
Yeah, you're just glad to
live
be
my
out.
life. And then years later, you don't know that
It's coming back on you.
Yeah,
The
you know, so that when
deterioration.
you go to get help, they're like, well, you haven't been seen for these for so many years and there's nothing in your file, denied.
Yep.
And they just deny
That
you.
easy. That easy to deny you. Because it's not in your file.
Let me say.